All right, so Yuta's going to be coming out in less than 12 hours, which I will be streaming Yuta's release. And we need to talk about his full build from recollection bits to skill upgrade focus, and then also his teams. All right, Yuta's a very good unit, and obviously pretty much the hypest release, I'd say, this year. Maybe a Gojo would rival it, maybe Hollow Purple, we'll see. But definitely Yuta's the most hyped up. So we gotta talk about the GOAT, all right? And to do that, we will be using the wiki. Thank you once again to the wiki. All links for that down below. Of course, we're going to be starting with his skills, which is always the most important part, then get into the skill priority and so on. So this guy is kind of a mixed, both with taijutsu and jujutsu, while having decent HP, but a pretty high ult gauge, which is made up for with his passive actually. So he's going to be looking pretty good. We're going to start with the passive and then go to the other stuff. So when he is below, or when an ally is below 60% HP, and Yuta's cursed energy is above 10, at the start of each turn, he has the chance to recover all allies' HP by 25, but then it also decreases his own cursed energy by 10. Then he also gets some damage increases and ult gauge increase, which can happen in total up to 3 times, okay? So you won't really see it that much because anyway, he needs to be above 10 and then he gets 10 less, so it's going to be hard to always proc it. But this heal is one of the best parts of his kit. And then also he gets the ult gauge, all right? Now, when he gets hit, there's a chance to actually counter and do damage without taking any damage. So it is a pretty good passive just to have, right? Because it has the chance to block damage. So for passive-wise, it is good. It is very good. Now, let's talk about, we're going to go from ult and then downwards. So he has a 2000% ultimate, okay? This is a huge ultimate. Now, people ask, is this one or Gojo stronger? Well, Yuta doesn't have any buffs built into his kit. So technically, Gojo's is stronger because you could get like, even just one buff from Gojo technically puts Gojo's ult stronger than Yuta's. But this, you could just rip it alongside Gojo's, right? So that's something that people are not really considering when we're talking about that. Then he increases his stats, but he cannot fill his ult for 4 turns. Now, due to this, he's going to be able to get his ult decently quick, but not super quick. Now, what he also has good is doing a lot of damage here. Like this in total is what, like a 600-700% multiplier single target just to have, which is nice. And then they also have an AoE, which lowers crit res, okay? And he could one tap. So basically, from what I remember, from what I heard, is if your attack stat is higher than the remaining HP, you one tap, is how it works. I could be wrong. I'll update it if I am. But essentially, this is how it works. And it's AoE crit res lower, which is really good to pair with units who want to crit. And for example, in the future, right, this could be a good example to give of why it could be good for Yuta, is this Gojo on his buff increases his crit rate, which means with this, it's going to give him almost give him a higher chance to crit, right? So that's one of the good things about Yuta. Now, skill 1 is just kind of normal, so not really to talk about there, but you see here, taijutsu, then jujutsu, then mix, and then jujutsu, okay? So if you're trying to nuke, you're going to mainly go for jujutsu, but we're going to kind of get into all that right now. So before we get into anything else, let's talk about the skill upgrade priority. So we have, first of all, the ult. Okay, the ult is for sure the strongest. All right, you want to get it to that level 10 if you can, which we're very blessed on Global to have a lot of domain investigation doubles. So over time, you'll be able to get it to 8, 9, or 10, right? So this is number 1. Now, number 2 is going to be the skill 3. And the reason for that is because this is like your main damage dealer after the ultimate, okay? So this one is the one you get up second. Now, the reason why is because crit res doesn't increase as you level this up. And in general, like 5% increase. Like, come on, it's really not that big. So it really goes from ult to skill 3 to skill 2 to skill 1, essentially, right? You're going to use the skill 1, skill 2, right? So alt, then skill 3, then skill 2, then skill 1, right? That's basically the priority from right to left, all right? So it's basically like that, not really that much more complicated, all right? So, you know, pretty simple for that. Now, if I'm being real, I really don't like his featured recollection bit. Out of all of them that you can use on him, I feel like it's one of the weaker ones, and this is it. So basically what it does is give taijutsu and jujutsu for 2 turns, 30 to 35% at dupe 3, and then when he's below 40%, he gets a heal, which can be good because he heals everyone but self. Now the stats are also pretty good for him because he is mixed, but I mean, we have something very similar in game that kind of works like almost the same, where this is giving, look, 30% taijutsu and jujutsu for 3 turns, okay? So it works essentially the same, right? Now the cooldown is longer, but it's very similar. Now, as for the dupe 1 on this one, I feel like it's a damage increase, right? So it's going to be giving a 20% damage increase to self, but it does scale a bit higher with Tokyo Jujutsu High, which not the best because you're usually using a lot of the like students, the teachers. So, you know, that part, meh, but it's still decent. HP is not bad either. So this is one. Now, the one I recommend most people to use, let's talk about it. I would say for sure, to me, right? Oh, I opened the wrong account because I have JP and Global open. The one I would use, I realized I might have to update my BlueStacks. So I would personally use one of these, okay? So if you want for the alt and for stuff like that, the Jogo one, you get cursed increase and also the damage increase when you're below 50%, okay? So that's great. That one's good if you want to use it. Now, the one I really like personally is this one because it's just a straight 65% damage increase. And then also the cursed energy efficiency, which could be good. So I personally really like this one. And it was free to play. We got it for the map event. So you should have it max dupe. I told you guys to kind of go for it. Now, besides that, if you really want to just go crazy on the alt and get your alt quicker, then this one, right? 85% curse technique / jujutsu on the ultimate. This non-standard, if you have it, it's going to be good if you're going for a nuking type of team. All right, so keep that one in mind. And then obviously we have, if I could find it, right here, I think it's called, yeah, at all time, as it gives damage increase. The crit rate is not that crazy, but it is to all allies when you crit, which can be decent because of how many hits he does on his skill 3, sorry. He has 4 hits total on his skill 3, so you have 4 chances to crit through that. So these are all ones I would use, either the ones that give damage for jujutsu or damage to everything, right? Or just both stats, right? Either damage increase, jujutsu increase, or both, right? You don't want to have only taijutsu, so please keep that in mind. You have a lot of options with what I just gave you, and 2 free-to-plays, especially Jogo's, is really good long-term, so it might be one you just want to get up, so keep that one in mind too. So let's go over the couple of teams. Now, of course, I'm recording this before Yuta comes out. So just imagine this is Yuta, okay? The empty slot is Yuta, all right? I'm going to say it again so no one's confused. The empty slot is Yuta, all right? So this team is essentially just a sustain team. And this Yuki could actually be switched with this one because this one actually gives attack nullification. So if you really want Yuta to live, you could put this one. But they both give curse technique increase, but this Yuki gives way more. So in terms of damage, this one's really good because you could go absolutely crazy for one turn. Now, in terms of DPSs, of course, there's a bunch of DPSs you could use. Gojo, Nobara. If you want Degumi in the back, sure. Itadori, Nanami could work, okay. If you're feeling funky, go with Maki, but wouldn't really recommend it. And then some SRs would be like Mecha Maru and maybe this Maki if you have her max duped because of the event. Go ahead, but I would probably stick to actual SSRs that you have like Gojo, so keep that in mind. Now, the next team is this one, which is a complete, like it's basically a more pay-to-win version of this. And it's going to be very good with Degumi as he's going to be putting some damage increases, right? And they should get their ult at a relatively similar time as he gets ult increase from this. And then Yuta's getting it from when he heals everyone. Okay, so this team's going to be hard to kill. Yuta heals. Degumi does not take damage, remember, after ult. And you can even throw on Gojo if you really want instead of one of the, like, you could put something like this, right? So you could go like this, have Yaga out, and then put Gojo here, right? Something like that is how you could do it. Then put Yuta in the 4th slot, obviously. So yeah, that's another team. Now, this one is basically also just going to be a very slow team, basically, right? And what it's also going to require is a little person by the name of Hanami. Okay, now why Hanami? Because Hanami is putting a lot of damage lowers, okay? We got 33% damage decrease, okay? And then on the alt, a bunch of stuff, okay, another 33%. So stuff like that when you combo it with Kaido, who's lowering damage, and when you also combo it with Yuta increasing, well, healing you, it's going to be a pretty good team to run. Now, of course, for memories, right, on these teams, the best ones is going to be this, so Yuta could get his ult quicker. This one's good because of the cursed energy increase. I love this one with the cursed energy increase. If you get this one, this is one of the best ones to get to dupe 1 by far. Okay, by far. Okay, I want to make that very clear. Now, other ones could be this one, as it gives a damage increase on ult, but this one, okay, is more friendly when you get it to do 3 because it's a 10% damage increase. And then this one's also pretty friendly as it's a 15% damage increase when you dupe it out. So those are all ones you could run for supports. Those are my personal favorites. And from what I listed, it's 2 SRs and 1 free to play and then 2 SSRs, right? So you should be technically fine, okay, to fill up those slots, right? You should be, just saying. you should be fine. But of course, if you have any problems, I'm streaming a bunch for this game, so keep that in mind. Now, yeah, so basically, there's really not many team variations. Obviously, these supports can change, right? In terms of supports, the ones you could use, I'm just going to go over this for supports. By the way, like I said, the empty slot is Yuta, and then obviously in this team, it's Yuta and Hanami. I don't have Hanami. So in terms of the empty slots, the ones it could be is this red Nanami, red Yaga, green Momo, SR Kaido, rare Kaido, or Inumaki. Inumaki is a bit more of a niche pick, but if you're trying to rush alt, you could maybe go ahead. But the thing is, you don't need to rush when you have Yuta necessarily, and Gojo's in the back slot, so keep that in mind. Now, what you can also do is run Yuta with Gojo and have a double AoE, triple AoE essentially, right? So what I would do is, okay, hold on, let me put another unit. For example, on this team, we could put Degumi, but it could be any support. Degumi counts as a support on this team. So, wrong thing. If we go here, we could put it like this and have Yuta in the, Yuta would be in the third slot because you want Yuta to put the crit res lower and then Gojo attacks, right? So this team being very pay to win, you got Degumi lowering that, increasing damage, then Gojo in the fourth slot with Yuta in the third slot, and with Yuta in the third slot, you're going to be able to increase or decrease the crit res of the enemies, and then Gojo is going to have a higher crit chance essentially. So that's one of the ways you can do it. Now, in terms of a JP team, okay, a JP team on this could be looking pretty interesting if I could find it. Which one was it? Was it this one? Yes. So a full kind of like mono team, but then you got Gojo. Okay, so you could run it like that. Okay. Oh, yeah. So in the future, this is going to be a very good team too, where you could replace Nanami with Mai. Okay. That could easily be replaced. All right. As Mai is a very good debuffer. So this team is going to be definitely one of the more whaley teams, but a very good team mono-wise, especially for Tower, as Tower is a mono team, okay? So all these things considered, that's essentially it for teams. I'm just going to reiterate, the empty slot was Yuta, okay? Now, as for supporters, basically, you could usually Yuta alone is fine because he's able to heal the team up. So if there's no turn restrictions, he's going to get it done at some point, okay? But let's say you do need to clear quick, then him and Gojo could be a wonderful option together. Remember, this is counting as Yuta. Now, you could obviously switch this to Nanami and you'd still be fine. Double damage increases. Gojo gets his ult earlier than Yuta. Gojo ults turn 2, Yuta ults turn 3. Y'all are going to be looking fine, okay? So usually how it's going to work is you want Gojo to be in the last slot. So again, Yuta could apply his crit res, which I think needs to be enforced, that the crit res is actually very big, because even that 15%, right, that 15% for 2 turns, okay, you want to be able, it gives you extra chance, and because it's AoE, it works very good with Gojo's ult, okay? So I just wanted to make that clear, that yes, you could run Yuta solo DPS, or like I said, with another DPS. I put Gojo, but like I said, other DPSs could be Nobara, could be Itadori, Nanami, and then Maki if you're feeling more of a taijutsu build. You could even run Degumi as the second DPS if you really are feeling like it, and that's who you have. And like I said, for SR, maybe you could go for Maki if you have her max dupe, which you should. And then, what's his name? Mekamaru, okay? So those are all options for the second DPS. And remember, this is the empty slot. I'm just reiterating it because I know someone's going to say it in the comments. And when you look in the comments and you see it, I told you so, okay? So that's basically it. Hopefully me saying it enough kind of dispelled those comments. So in terms of teams, this is it. Pretty simple. Usually 2 supporter slots. Sometimes 3 if you're running Degumi, as he is more of a hybrid. And then you got Yuta. In the back, usually the DPS runs better. But of course, here we could have the DPS in the front alongside Yuta. Of course, Yuta goes in front of the DPS so that he could put the crit res lower. Just wanted to make that clear. I hope you guys have an amazing day. And I hope you guys get lucky. All right. We could look at Yuta's art one last time. Thank you so much for watching this video, and best of luck on your summons, best of luck on your building. Ask me anything you have in the comments down below. Like and sub if you are new. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.